2020 on MGL, VGMA, 3 Music Awards, and of course, Fix the Country. These are the ones topping the trends. What's yours? Share with me on WhatsApp is 05511111997. You're watching live on Facebook. You can leave your comments there as well. I am MFA Apau. Details shortly. We settle for details now. We start off with our Drive Safe campaign.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
And this evening, some intercity drivers are attributing the deadly crashes on Garnet's roads to single carriageways, which they say often result in head-on collisions. 21 people died in 3 separate accidents over the weekend on the Accra-Cape Coast Highway in the Central Region and the Accra-Kumasi Highway in the Ashanti Region. 2 of the crashes, which killed 19 persons, were as a result of these head-on collisions. Listen to some of these drivers.
The cause of these accidents are the single carriageways. Ghana has gone past such problems. Have you ever seen an accident on the Instagram road before? But on these single carriageways, there is always accidents.
Especially
the cause of accidents are bad roads. We pay tolls every day, yet our roads are bad. So we are pleading with government to ensure that we use dual carriageways, because if our roads are fixed, then there won't be any problems.
I have a big problem with the Road Safety Authority because they always fail to remove damaged cars off our single carriageways. About 80% of our accidents are as a result of this. I am pleading with the Road Safety Authority to quickly remove damaged cars from our roads.
Number one, because
the first cause is the lack of dual carriageways. I picked up a white lady for a tour once, and she was clearly uncomfortable. But when we moved to a dual carriage road, she relaxed.
Some intercity drivers there interacting with Joy News. Now, Industrial Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Roads Transport Union, GPRTU, Abbas Moro, has described the deadly crashes as worrying. He also believes dual carriageways can reverse the trend.
The rate at which the current accidents are happening is very, very worrying. We are not happy with it at all. It's very worrying. That you see, in driving, we have a principle, and the first principle is see and be seen. If you apply that principle, we go by the road signs, we could have avoided most of these accidents. Yes, of course, there are some dangerous road ramps ahead of us, but there are road signs by them. The Accra Cape Coast, no driver is supposed to drive above 80 kilometers per hour. And if you go by this, if you go strictly by that regulation, I don't think we will be experiencing all these accidents. About 2 weeks ago, I traveled on that road, and I was particularly on the 80 kilometers per hour, and most private cars were just overtaking. Some few commercial cars were also overtaking, indicating they were overspeeding. Secondly, we're also pleading that all the highways will be turned into a carriageway. If they dualize it, you see, it will also help and save some of these accidents, because most of these accidents are head-on collision. So we are pleading. We have regulations guiding it. You see, unnecessary overtaking. You see, we have this principle, see and be seen. You cannot overtake in a curve where you cannot see ahead of you. Definitely unexpected will happen. So if you apply the principle of driving, see and be seen, yes, of course, you have every right to overtake. But you have to be very careful of what you are doing. Look at the strength of your car, which can give you the assessment. You have to look at the brakes, how effective the brakes are. In case unexpected, you can salvage it. This and some small other things are the things that if you do, you will avoid most of these accidents.
Well, that's the Industrial Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Roads and Transport Union. Well, you're driving right now and listening. can you see? Can you be seen before you try to overtake? You heard Abasimoro there on that. Meanwhile, a researcher who has worked extensively on road crashes in Ghana, Festival Godwin Boateng, is urging government to hold transport companies accountable for the many road crashes in the country. Speaking in an interview on The Pulse on the Joy News channel, he stated improving the country's railway system will also reduce the heavy reliance on roads, thereby reducing crashes.
If driver is tired, they would create problems. But you have these work systems. Okay, he's a driver, he wants to make more money. And probably his transport agency pays them on commission. And so the more trip you go, the more money you get. This is just something everyone else will do. So what they will do is that they will take energy drink and try to beat their fatigue, sit behind the wheels and create problems for everyone. If you want to solve this problem, you don't target the driver. You target the managers of the transport companies. Hold them accountable for the way they structure the work systems for the drivers, and so that they would affect the driving behavior of their drivers. If you decide to just stay on the road, use police officers to arrest them one by one, you wouldn't get this widespread incremental results. Because, for instance, a transport company may have maybe 100 drivers going from Kumasi to Accra, Accra to Takoradi, Sekondi, everywhere, in Ghana. And they've structured, the drivers, work systems such that you would go, a lot of, trips. You cannot address, the problem by targeting these 100 drivers one by one on the roads and arrest them. Hold the transport company accountable. That if you, for instance, allow a driver to go round trips like 2-3 times a day, Kumasi to Accra, and something happens, we will hold you accountable. In that case, these transport companies will begin to restructure their work systems in ways that would not, lead to this, long hour driving, fatigue, and all those problems that will lead to the crashes on the road.
So what are your recommendations specifically to deal with the
put police officers on the roads to monitor drivers? That's great. But you ask yourself, how many police officers could you put out on our roads to control these problems? The government's efforts to revamp the railways sector is very, very good. I hope we'll be able to go through with it, because that would be a very, very good intervention. You reduce the heavy reliance on roads. A lot of people could use railway, which means that you wouldn't have more cars on the roads. And most of the cargo cars that get break down on the roads and cause accidents, a lot of the cargo could be transported through the railway.
Now, the executive director and founder of Top Tech Transport and Logistics is attributing the increase in these accidents to non-enforcement of traffic regulations and errors by drivers, which, according to him, accounts for 90% of these crashes.
We also look at, as part of the law, to extend the speedometer to the past area where the passengers are seated, so they will know that if a driver is, that should replace the TVs. The driver is speeding beyond the speed limit, at least we all know that look, the driver is going more than 80 kilometers per hour, and then we voice it out, right? The whole issue is on speed. 90% of the crashes that we see are coming from speed. It is coming from our human behavior. Okay, we only have 5% that is from engineering problems, and then another 5% on the roads. It is not the roads. It is not the vehicle. It's always the driver, 90%. So we need to make sure that we solve issues amongst ourselves than blaming anybody. Let's change our lives. Let's drive and use our senses to drive. You've drunk, you've taken some alcohol. Please don't go close to the steering wheel. For every 10 vehicles that you see around you, 5 of them are mad. It's not madness like we all know somebody has taken the clothes off and so on. But madness may come from even your landlord that you owe. Some of them will leave the house like 3 a.m. They don't want to see their landlord.
Well, you have the concerns that have been raised by experts in that regard. But let me bring in the ranking member of Parliament Roads and Transport Committee, Governor Kwame Agboja. We're grateful tonight for your time here on Newsnight. So we've heard the experts on this. There are concerns about policy, there are issues about traffic regulations. Also, some also say it's largely human behavior. But speaking to the intercity drivers, for them, the issue is dual carriageways, at least for Ghana's major highways. Would that be the solution, you think?
Good evening, MFA, and good evening to your cherished listeners. I listened to the tail end of the two gentlemen you interviewed, and I think I agree with them largely. We all know from the data from the NTTD, National Road Safety Authority, that overwhelming percentage of road crashes occur due to driver error. In other words, incompetent drivers or drivers doing wrong maneuvers and other things. When a driver is driving under the influence of a substance, a prohibited substance, it doesn't really matter whether the road is dual carriage or is a bad road, a single lane road. The fact is that the driver is not good enough. So, in fact, we have road crashes on Accra-Tema motorway, which is relatively a better road than many roads in the country. So it cannot be the fact that let's dualize all roads and to eliminate road crashes. I agree. A factor of the accidents is due to the bad nature of the road, the potholes, sometimes drivers trying to maneuver and drive into each other and other things. But like one of your the people you interviewed said, it's all about speed. If you're driving in an area that they say is 50 kilometers per hour and you are driving within that limit, chances are that if you were to meet an obstacle or something abruptly, you may be able to bring the car to a safe stop without crashing. Or even if there will be a crash, the impact on the driver and the occupants of the vehicle will be less than what we witness now. So I agree. We need to resource, especially the MTTD and the National Road Safety Authority, to be able to do what we want them to do. In every year's budget, we put in money or we make recommendations. Even the road fund allocate a certain portion of the road fund to the National Road Safety Authority. The point is, find out how much of that money gets released to them. We changed their law from a National Road Safety Commission to an authority. And in that law, we said by now they should have established district offices and recruit qualified people to help them together with MTTD to enforce some of the things your experts were talking about. But as we speak, ask ourselves, how many district offices have they rolled out? They haven't rolled out even 5% because the budgetary allocation is not enough for them to do that. So we can see the problem. The solution to the problem lies with government. Make the money available to the agencies. Then we can all say you ought to do what we expect you to do. The gentleman talked about an issue about putting, displaying the speedometer in the vehicle for drivers. I've watched occupants of trotro drivers yelling at people when we see the trotro drivers diverting off the road, taking shortcuts and other things. And the occupants are very happy about that because he's trying to help them get to their destination earlier. So he said, we must all change our attitude, and I agree with him 100%. If a trotro driver is overspeeding in a built-up area, you don't have to look at the speedometer. We all can guess that he's driving far and beyond what it should be. So our attitude first, and then government must make the resources available. Okay. We can reduce the carnage on our roads.
And speaking of laws, thankfully you are a legislator. There are those who say that our laws are not biting hard enough when it comes to road safety issues.
I agree partly. I'm aware that, for instance, I lived somewhere before, to be precise, London. When you were driving and you use your phone and a policeman sees you, I don't know the charge now. At those days, it was £60 on the spot and either 3 or 6 points on your driving license. Every driving license in the UK has got 12 points on it. And once you get to 9, or if you lose your driving license out of those offenses, you are supposed to go back and do a retraining. So everybody gets scared about the possibility of the police seeing you drive. But guess what? It is possible you will see an MP, a minister, a policeman, an army officer, a banker, a journalist, all of them driving, talking on their phone. But it is actually an offense in this country as well. So I agree with you. The enforcement regime It leaves much to be desired. But who would enforce this? If a member of parliament is driving on while being on the phone, a minister is doing the same.
You call a big man. You call a big man. You call a big man. If a police arrest you right now, I'm not sure they can even arrest you because you're an MP.
Why not? MPs have gone to jail in this country, isn't it?
Okay.
MPs have gone to jail. But the point is, if the policeman himself is driving on the phone, the driving is on the phone, minister is on the phone, journalist is on the phone, MP is on the phone. So who actually is going to enforce this law? So unless we all decide that we know this is wrong, and let's all do the right thing, I am sure that's the only way out. Okay. Laws don't enforce themselves. The laws on our books are not that different from the laws on the books of advanced countries. The difference is enforcement.
We are grateful for your time. That's the ranking member of Parliament's Roads and Transport Committee, governs Kwame Abuja.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
We can't say it anymore. You need to drive safe. You need you to arrive home safe. That's all we're asking you, and that's a part of our Drive Safe campaign. We need you alive. You're too precious to lose that life. 21 people died over the weekend, and that's worrying. I'll take you to the Bono regional town of Besim, because the estate now is a community in shock and struggling to come to terms with a gruesome murder and subsequent dismembering of 3 of its children. And the chief of the area, Berema Kumi Achiao, believes the 28-year-old suspect, Richard Appiah, who is currently in police custody, is not mentally sound due to the behavior he has exhibited in recent times. Body parts of JHS2 students were found together with the lifeless body of his 12-year-old stepbrother, Louis Ajiman, and another yet to be identified. We hear from the chief and residents, plus the status of investigations so far. But first, regional correspondent Precious Semevo captures events of the weekend in this report.
A mother in pain. Her son is one of 3 people allegedly murdered by Richard Appiah. Yeboah Isuama is the father of the 15-year-old boy whose body parts were stashed in a fridge. He is in shock as his business friend and neighbor gruesomely killed his son. The IGP, George Ekufu Dampare, visited the Abesim community. The IGP later directed the homicide investigation team from the CID headquarters to take over the case, with the remains also moved to Accra. Alexander Obin, Director of Public Affairs, spoke on behalf of the IGP.
The 2 suspects are in our custody. The suspect Appiah, the second one named would help us with our ongoing investigation. He directed that a homicide investigation team from CID headquarters takes over the case to Accra. Again, the remains, if further directs, is being moved to Ghana Police Service Hospital morgue in Accra for forensic pathology analysis and examination to support this investigation.
So that's my colleague, Precious Semevo's report earlier, but he's gone back to the crime scene and he joins us live. Precious, what did you find?
Yeah, so MFR, this afternoon at the crime scene, the place remained cordoned off together with the next 4-story building which has been abandoned. The whole place has been cordoned off with one armed security officer from the Ghana police taking care of the place. But we also understand that the homicide investigation team, some personnel were in town, and they went to the crime scene with the prime suspect as part of their investigation. So at the crime scene, that is the situation that we have at the crime scene today.
Well, Precious, we know that there was a 3rd victim that was yet to be identified. Has that been done?
For now, no. As far as the police is concerned, the 3rd victim is yet to be identified. But the 2, as we already know, identified, the 12-year-old and then the 15-year-old HS2 student.
And the chief of the area believes this 28-year-old man is mentally unstable. What exactly are his reasons?
Well, according to the chief, from my interaction with the chief, clearly he has a personal relationship with the prime suspect, Richard Appiah. And the chief said that prior to the incident, the young man has exhibited some sort of behaviors, attitude, that according to the chief points to the fact that all is not well mentally. Now, he made mention of the fact that he was told about 2 or so weeks ago that he brought some personal belongings of himself, his mobile phone, mattresses, and other things, and then burnt it in the house. And he's also alleged to have threatened his father, including burning the house that he lives in, but for the intervention of other people around. So he feels that this points to the fact that the young man couldn't have done what he did if he was mentally sound. And he was appealing to the IGP, though he cannot tell them how to go about their duties, but they should ensure that, or appeal to them, that they subject him to some psychiatric examination.
And residents disagree with the chief?
Yeah, certainly. That is the situation here. You talk to them and they tell you that the scenario leading to his arrest does not point to someone who is mentally unstable, because they know him, they relate with him, they've lived with him, and he has not done anything to suggest that he's mentally unstable. They disagree seriously with anyone who of the opinion that the young man is mentally unstable.
By enam ne maame store na yawo ha nuntini enne magen yedi hu no efisetan bia obaha mfanse.
The suspect Appiah has not been in this area for a long time. He's known mainly because of a shop his mother operates around. I usually engage in a kotoko and hard banter with him. I have never seen him even insult someone. So this is very shocking because we don't know him to be a person who could engage in such an act. So all of us are very surprised. But I don't believe he's mentally unstable. If someone says that, it's not something that I believe.
Fie honswa wada honso mako hu akohwe fie num na wa kan hu nti hona ya ntam ha yente ase no ana bwa no so no kwani so obisi na dwin mu kana binyintum ebise oya adwuma we so bia.
Resident of Abesim there speaking to my colleague Precious Semevo. Well, in the last few minutes also, the Ghana Institute of Architects, they've issued a statement saying that the Ghana Institute of Architects would like to categorically state that Richard Appiah is not an architect. They go on to state why, because the police in their earlier statement had mentioned that he was an architect. So they've been explaining that according to them, and then also their acts and then the books, this said gentleman is not an architect. You're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll go for business shortly after this break.
55, 78, 58, 78. Hey, Charlie. My network is really killing me. I have to pay my uncle's workers via mobile money, but the charges alone, it's about 380 cedis. Charges alone just to send money? That's $10 of cement already, my guy. Listen, bro, you can save money on charges if you move to Vodafone Cash now. Vodafone Cash? But my network is... Hey, sending money on that your network, you pay. Sending money on your network to other networks, you pay. But guess what? Sending money on Vodafone Cash is free. Sending money on Vodafone Cash to all other networks is also absolutely free. No charges at all on Vodafone Cash. So tell me, what are you still doing on that your network? Massa, look sharp, then move to Vodafone Cash. Hey, make a change the SIM right now. Yes, sending money on Vodafone Cash to all other networks is now absolutely free. Send unlimited amounts of money as many times as you like for free. Just dial *110# now to send money.
Let me explain in here. I'm a mistake where I use cement for all your projects. That's why Gassem, with 50 years experience, was to develop various greater. What's your various jobs? What was super rapid 32.5 hours? On no you suitable for your dream house. As your screening or that Nazi or plastering or man perfect finish. Gassem, what was super strong 42.5 hours? Or your best suited for slab, pavement blocks, Nasezich blocks Nankasa, Ache pumping. For the biggest construction works like roads, bridges, on your high-rise buildings, contractor and use Gassem Extra 42.5 M. Miss it be there. Choose Gassem always.
In these uncertain times, stay safe and follow all the COVID-19 safety protocols.
Gassem, the nation builder.
The Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in partnership with GIZ, UNIDO, Ghana Enterprises Agency, formerly MBSSI, Joy Business, KPMG, IFC, and Bank of Africa, is organizing the Chamber SME Business Forum under the theme Redefining Business Success, the Case of SMEs in Ghana. The purpose of the forum, a quarterly event, is to provide a high-level platform to deliberate on topical issues and make policy recommendations relating to the sustainable growth and development of SMEs in Ghana, as well as explore new business partnerships. The president of the chamber, Mr. Clement Osei-Amoako, will host Mrs. Kosi Yankiaye, Executive Director, Ghana Enterprises Agency, Dr. Samuel Frimpong Boatin, CEO, Africa Ghana Limited, and CITI Africa, Ms. Felicia Chumisi, CEO, Home Foods Processing, Mr. Kobi Anda, MD, Bank of Africa, Mr. Arijit Kumaroy, Business Head ERP, IPMC, and Mr. Frederick Jamra Owusu of UNIDO, KPMG, and IFC. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Alan Tremonton, is the special guest of honor, with Honorable Mrs. Akosua Frema Osei-Opare, Chief of Staff, Office of the President, as the keynote speaker. This event will take place on Wednesday, the 25th of August, 2021, at 9 a.m. Venue is the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. For more information and reservation, please call Brigitta on 0501 260141 or Nathan on 0501 510499. Contribution to cost is 200 Ghana cedis.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight. When we return from the meritorious and unwarranted petition seeking removal of Chief Justice, we have details of that. And it's World Hashtag Day today. Yes, it is. And we'll be going through the hashtags that have impacted you the most. I've seen Euro 2020 on MGL. I've seen 3 Music Awards, VGMA, and of course, Fix the Country. What's yours?
I would go outside. I would look at Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
I thought it was an interesting thing, looking at what was happening and to use that to highlight them being marginalized.
Remember, I Can't Breathe also. I'm sure closely linked to that.
Yes,
as well.
of course.
Okay.
And so those were things in myself watching those beautiful games. I was tipping France to go through, but unfortunately, they couldn't make it. And then Italy had to...
We'll go through the hashtags later. What's in business today?
Well, Deputy Minister of Agric and economist Professor Peter Cote describes the expected $1 billion from the IMF suspected to hit Ghana's account today. It's on Newsnight. It's brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Book for the details. Now, government has announced that it is currently working to review its flagship agric program that is planting and also help us to be food sufficient as a country. However, due to some concerns with the modules, they are currently going through that.
Get stakeholders around. It's at the conception stage now, looking at how to organize such an event. And when everything crystallizes, we will do it.
Wouldn't there be another bureaucracy that between you and I, Honorable, we know where the problems are that we need to address and so on? Why do we, some will say, another committee?
Every project, if you implement it over a period of time, identify something, but individually, we need to meet and then put everything together. Maybe what you have identified as a big setback, I may come out with some observation that will even water down your feelings. You see, so that you know that, so this one is not true.
Minister of Agric, Frimpong Ado. Now, economist Professor Peter Korte has described the expected $1 billion from the IMF as timely. Ghana's account at the IMF in Washington, D.C. will today be credited with almost $1 billion to help the country manage COVID-19 shocks on the economy. Now, it follows the decision by the IMF to share a record $650 billion with members. Professor Peter Korte tells Joy Business he's satisfied with areas that government is planning to advance these monies to.
It's right on time because we need such funds to stabilize the exchange rate. Currently, you've seen the dollar depreciating slightly. So if this comes in, it provides foreign exchange to help cushion the local currency. That will come useful and timely and needful to finance some of these items as listed under the CARES program. Good thing about this is that it's not like we're borrowing from the commercial markets where we're going to pay 8 to 9% interest rates. These are monies that do not come or will come at very little cost to us, and this is certainly good money to use judiciously. But then the key thing is us applying these resources judiciously, making sure we get value for money, funds from the IMF.
Professor Peter Korte is an economist. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries has justified calls for full restoration of the benchmark value on some imported products. It's coming after the Ghana Union of Trade Association began another round of campaign for the taxes not to be reviewed. Now, government in 2019 announced about a 50% reduction on the benchmark value for some imported products. The move was expected to reduce the cost of these goods for consumers locally, but the association of
values for all products. For products that we have local capacity to produce, let the benchmark value be maintained. And then those that we don't have the local capacity to produce. And virtually what happened was that we had import duties on those products reduced by about half. And it made the products much cheaper than it was before. And that puts the pressure on local manufacturers. And therefore, once they come of the product areas. So the whole essence of this is that keep the benchmark values or review it, and let's discuss how the review could be done.
On the current market performance to help drive interest, listing and investment. The market continued to make some good returns to investors since last year, beating other investments on the market. Abna Moa is Deputy Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange.